in this world of, he said, hoax, so fake enlightened people. How do you know the real one? Well, fortunately, it isn't any of our responsibility to know. Until and unless God comes down and says to you, Acha, I have a job for you. Make me a list. Make me a list of the real ones and the fake ones. Until and unless that happens, don't worry. It's not your job. Thankfully. Thankfully, our job is not to be worried about what other people are doing. Because what we've noticed in our life, and think about it in your own lives, even if you're not worried about who's really enlightened or not, think about just how worried we get about what our colleagues at work are doing. Who's working hard, who's taking too long of a lunch break, who's sitting on Facebook too much, who's taking credit for work that they don't do. How much we get worried about what our neighbors are doing. Did you see who went into that house, what time this one came out? My God, this one's getting fat, this one's getting skinny. Don't they ever wash their car? What's happened to their lawn? Right? We spend, as it is, such a ridiculous amount of time already worried about what everybody else is doing. I can't tell you how many people come to me with questions that are just rooted in, so my family member or my friend or someone at work or whatever it may be does this. Do you think that's right? And my answer is always the same, which is whether I think it is right or wrong is totally irrelevant to your life. Because whether they are right or wrong, whether you think they're right or wrong is irrelevant to your life. And so all you're looking for from me is a stamp of approval of your already created judgment about that person. Then you can go and say, well, Sadhviji also says what you're doing is wrong. Or you can tell your loved ones who tell you कि अरे छोड़ो इसको, नहीं वो तो Sadhviji ने also कहा. So the amount of time and energy that we waste already on judging others. And I use the word waste very, very specifically. It is a total waste. Now, there are a few situations in which there is a little bit of importance. For example, if you are the mother or father of that person, and they are a child, absolutely it is important that we give our children the proper sanskaras, the proper discipline. Parents, of course, must pay attention to what their children are doing that is right, so that they can reinforce that, and what they are doing is wrong, so that they can explain that that's wrong. Employers, if you are paying somebody to do something for you, obviously it is your job to make sure that they are doing it correctly, because otherwise you are wasting somebody's money on paying someone who is doing something incorrectly. And that job which is supposed to get done is not getting done. Third, if you are a policeman and what someone is doing is not just wrong but illegal, so we need to pay attention. Is this guy robbing the store? Is this one inappropriately touching that lady on the sidewalk? And lastly, if you are their guru, if they have come to you and bowed down and said, I want to be your disciple, will you be my guru? In any other situation, we are blissfully free, blissfully absolved of the responsibility of worrying ourselves over what people are doing, especially when what we're looking at, as he began with, is people who are simply pretending to be enlightened. We are not the karmic police, thank God. The issue for us is, how can I know on a personal level who the right one is? Because obviously if I'm going to have a guru or be in the presence of enlightened people and trust them and want to be guided by them, I want to make sure they're right. And this is interestingly something that there's no specific equation. It's not like a pH litmus test that if you can say, well, if it's over 7.0, it's, definitely enlightened. If it's under 7.0, not so enlightened. But you do feel it inside. And the reason is, people who are enlightened, who are really enlightened, are beings of light. And in their presence, you feel a light. But here's where it's a little bit subtle. Those who are fake are going to direct all the light on themselves. And so it's going to be a light that is, look at me. Those who are real are going to show you the light in you. So in the presence of a real enlightened master, you're not just going to sit there and go, wow, wow, what an amazing charismatic leader. But you're actually going to have a felt sense experience of your own light. That being has enabled you, has brought you the light to see the light of yourself. The other real way to know, for me at least, is the real masters are doing this. And by this I mean this entire drama of being here in a body on planet Earth, playing a role. They're doing it for us. That's all they want. They're doing it for us because we need to be guided across this, what we call the ocean of samsara. And they offer themselves as the boat to carry us across. But they're not attached to whether we jump on or not. Because they've got a vision that is much bigger than we have. We get very panicked. Oh my God, right now, gotta have it, gotta have it, gotta have it. Those who are enlightened have a much bigger vision of the entire tapestry. Okay, no problem. If not this life, you'll get it next life. If not today, tomorrow, koi baat nahi, take your time. Those who are not really enlightened tend to be out trying to grab disciples. They're the ones who say, I'm the best, I'm the most enlightened, I'm the only. They're the ones who will criticize others, demean others. No, he's not real, I'm the real one. Those who are real, if people show up and are there, they're happy to serve. No one shows up, they're happy to sit and meditate. But there's no sense of, oh my God, where are my disciples? When I first came to Rishikesh, before I had met Pujya Swamiji and had his darshan, we had met some other sadhu in the marketplace. And he spoke English. He didn't live here at Parmarth Niketan, he lived somewhere else. And he spoke English and he looked really the part of a sadhu. And he said, oh, you must come and visit me. I'll teach you. So we went. And then he told us, whenever you come, you must bring sweets. It's inappropriate to go to the Guru without sweets. And he showed us which sweet store to buy the sweets from. Now, at that time, it was all an adventure. It was all brand new. To spend the equivalent of, $1 on a box of sweets, it was all sort of part of this big adventure. Okay, so we developed this daily routine. We'd go, we'd get the box of sweets. We'd go, we'd sit with him, he'd talk to us. Okay. When I finally met Pujya Swamiji and had his darshan and was transformed, and he said I could stay here, we bumped into this other sadhu in the market. And I, being in this state of just ecstasy, that I had just been in Pujya Swamiji's presence and I was going to be permitted to stay in the ashram. And I say, guess what? I have wonderful news, and I've met Pujya Swamiji and he's going to let me stay in Parmarth. And this other one threw a screaming fit in the marketplace. Literally, screaming. You are my disciples. You can't go anywhere else. You are my disciples. Literally ran after us in the marketplace. So I share the story because that's a really good indication to walk in the other direction. Light does not run after darkness. Light is very content to be the light, knowing that wherever it goes, it dispels darkness. It doesn't have to run after darkness. Rivers don't run after flames to put them out. They understand when the flame comes, it's like the Buddha said so beautifully, be the river, such that when flames of discord come, they're automatically extinguished in your waters. So it's not about running after discord. It's about becoming that river. So the real ones are very content to be there, be the light, be the river, dispel the darkness, but they're not running after disciples. So those are two ways to know. And lastly, trust your inner self. A lot of times when we get taken in by someone who's not the right one, when you look back in retrospect, you realize that we were taken in actually by our own attachment to something that wasn't pure light. So for example, if I still have this illusion of, I need more money, the more money I have, the happier I will be. I need a guru who will bless me and make me very rich. And suddenly a master appears who is covered with gold and diamonds and sitting on chairs of gold and diamonds and says, I will give you a mantra that will make you very, very prosperous. We want to believe it. And later when it turns out that that guru maybe wasn't necessarily enlightened, but perhaps had some attachment issues, we feel very betrayed. But we have to actually look back and ask ourselves, what part of us was attracted to the guru in the first place? Was it our deepest self that was looking for light? Or was it our own ego who was looking for someone to tell us that that yearning for more and more and more and more money was actually right and good, and he or she would help us get there? So check your own self. And when that yearning is pure, it will vibrate with the purity of the master. And you'll know. In Hindi they say, kuch kuch hota hai na? Now usually we say that about love. But that kuch kuch hota hai, it can happen on a deep spiritual level as well. It's not just on a romance level. It means there's a feeling inside. Suddenly something is different inside you. And on a romance level, you feel it in one way. And on a way in the presence of a master, you feel it in a different way. But you'll feel it. You'll know.